I actually get sellers and buyers asking me, what do I expect with a certain listing? And it's kind of like, geez, it's anybody's guess because some things just don't make sense. I have listings that I thought would sell in a weekend and they take 6 weeks. I have other listings that I thought would take a long time to sell, and boom, we had multiple offers on the first weekend. So it's really unpredictable. It's just a strange time in the market. So let's dig into what a normal market supposedly is, what a normal market became for us, and where we're at now. Hey everybody, my name is Darren Rivers. I am the Northwest Realtor, and I am managing broker of the Rivers Group. My team and I help hundreds and hundreds of families relocate to Gig Harbor all the time. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you if you're considering relocating to our area so you can learn all about it. Got many videos on here about various topics, and today's topic is going to be just what a strange market we are in. Let's talk about this market and what is going on and how to make any sense out of it at all. Okay, so let's talk about what a balanced market supposedly is and the background of that. So a balanced market is where you have 4 to 6 months worth of inventory available. And what does that mean? Well, that means if we have 100 houses on the market right now and no new listings come on from now going forward, it would take 4 to 6 months for all of those houses to be sold. That is called a balanced market. If we have less inventory than that and all those homes would be sold in, say, 2 months, well, that becomes a seller's market. And if it takes longer than 6 months for that inventory to get used up, then that's when it's supposedly a buyer's market. So here's the weird thing about this balanced market or whatnot. In Gig Harbor and the surrounding areas, we have between 2 and 3 months worth of inventory. So that would suggest it's a seller's market, but it's not acting like a seller's market. Things are still sitting on the market for a little bit longer. And like I said, there's some things that are just no rhyme or reason for this whatsoever. And that's why one of the reasons I picked this location. I am selling a condo right up there, balcony up there, great water view, fantastic, immaculate condo. I expected this to sell in the first weekend with multiple offers. And guess what? We've been on the market 6 weeks now. We've done a price reduction, and my seller and I were both just kind of blown away at how all this is working. On the other hand, I have a listing at 532 Rady Street in Port Orchard, and it's a fine property. Don't get me wrong. It's just fine, but it's not blowing anybody's socks off, in my mind anyway. We went on the market, we had 3 offers in the first weekend and escalated that price up by creating a bidding war. Something I completely did not expect. I expected these 2 listings to be vice versa on how they would work. And that's what I'm talking about. There's just no predictability right now. It's really strange and it's baffling a lot of people. Remember that condo that I was just telling you about that's still sitting in the market with that fantastic view I was telling you about? Well, that's the view. So it's pretty good. But let's talk about a few points and why I think some of this is going on, why we are in a seller's market supposedly, especially when it comes to inventory, yet the market isn't being that aggressive most of the time. I mean, we still have the bidding wars, like the example I just brought up. I've been in some bidding wars for some buyers as well, but it's just not the norm right now. Nothing like it was a few years ago. So let's get into some of these specific reasons right now. And by the way, if you are looking at this area from out of town, right down here is this QR code. That is my relocation guide. So make sure you download that so you can get all the information about the area. Well, let's start diving into some of these specific reasons as to what's going on in the market and why it's making it so unpredictable. Okay, reason number 1, and I think this is the biggest, most important reason that the market is strange, is we are still coming out of COVID market. And the COVID market was like nothing we had ever seen. When COVID came out and the government shutdown started happening and there, all the things started going on, I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going to happen to the real estate world? I just thought everything would be on a standstill. And in the reverse of that happened. It was the craziest market anybody had ever seen. Prices were just going up and up and up, appreciation of like 20% a year, which is totally unsustainable. We had record low interest rates getting down to like 2.5%. I know of a VA buyer that got a loan for 2.25%, things that we will never see again in our lifetime. And that created a real sense of urgency and a rush and really competitive offers. I had a client that they were doing the best they could. They were putting their best foot forward as high as they could go, waiving every contingency known to mankind, and they were still losing. I wrote 13 offers for this particular family before we got them into a home. So what did that do from a psychological standpoint for both the buyer and the seller? Well, for the buyer, it was the total FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? If a listing came on the market, they had to get in there immediately. They had to write an aggressive offer right away way just to have a hope of getting into it. If they waited a day or two, that property was going to be gone. So that sense of urgency, that rush. I mean, I had out-of-state buyers buying things sight unseen, just me doing a video for them, waiving every protection that they had as far as the contingencies from financing to inspections, things like that, just to be able to win the deal. They had to be ultra aggressive. On the flip side, the seller, they're like, they could do nothing wrong. They just throw a house up on there. Marketing didn't really matter. Just put it in the right ballpark for a price and they'd create multiple offers and a bidding war. And the listing agents came out looking like heroes. So now what has happened since then? Well, interest rates basically doubled, even more so. I mean, gosh, we got up to close to 8% a year and a half ago. Now we're down to closer to 6, but still, that's twice as high as they were just during the COVID years. So what did that do? That slowed everybody down, especially for buyers that had bought and have a 3% interest rate. Well, now they got to make a real big decision if they want to trade in that house and all of a sudden be at a 6% interest rate. So it slowed everything down. It took away a lot of the seller's power because buyers are just slowing things down. Things are sitting on the market longer. Shoot, average time on the market is well over a month now. Back in the COVID years, time on the market was 4 days. And the reason it was that long is because a lot of sellers would set offer review dates. So they had time to collect those multiple offers and create that bidding war. I did that all the time for my listings. I wanted a competitive market. There's no way we were taking anything on day one. We wanted 10, 12 offers to come through and get an extra $50,000. Well, those days, for the most part, are gone. They happen once in a while, but rarely. Hey, really quick, just a side note. So that condo I was talking about, it's actually in Bremerton. I'm on the Bremerton Waterfront. Right there is the Turner Joy. It was a naval warfare ship. It's now a museum, just so you know, and that's the Bremerton Marina. And we're only 25 minutes north of Gig Harbor, so this is very much a market that I still work in. Like I said, I'm selling a condo for this guy right now, or I'm trying to. So where are we at with all of this? In my opinion, even though our inventory is still only 2.5 months worth of homes on the market, I think that we are in a much more balanced market. Sellers still have some leverage because the inventory is not high and there are those desired areas where people are still chomping in the bit to get in, but they don't have all the power. They don't have as much leverage as they did before. Sellers are able to move slower. They're able to do more due diligence. They're able to get into a home without waiving all of those contingencies that help protect them. I think we're in a much more balanced market. It's actually a healthy market with appreciation of only like 5 or 6% a year instead of something that's unsustainable, like 20% a year. I mean, 20% a year after 10 years, how's anybody going to be able to afford a house anymore? My oldest son, who's just turned 25, is looking to purchase a new home. He's actually submitting an offer today for a house. It just blows me away at the price that he's going to be coming in at and what his monthly payments are going to be. I just don't know how young kids are doing it these days. I mean, him and his significant other are doing it, so good for them, but man, it causes them to take pause to see what their budget really is, as it should. It's the biggest decision they're making of their lives financially, and they should do it the right way. So that fear of missing out that was really present back in the COVID days, well, that's now been replaced by people looking at their pocketbooks, and a lot of that has to do with how much home prices went up over the COVID years, and now how much interest rates have gone up since those COVID years. And the crazy thing is we haven't really had a drop in prices. They've leveled out a lot, but we have not had any kind of significant dip of any kind, at least not a long-lasting one. Maybe some pockets here and there, but for the most part, we've been pretty steady, but interest rates have remained, at least twice what they were a couple years ago. So it's caused everybody to slow down. They don't have a fear of missing out on the house. They more have a fear of what their monthly budget looks like. So they're being very, very careful when they're going after to purchase a home. Okay, let's get on to point number 2 of why things are going a little bit slower, maybe why the market is a little bit unpredictable. And that is because buyers are seeing a lot of price reductions these days. So again, let's do some history on this and why this is going on and why price reductions are at a recent historic high. Well, back in the COVID days, nobody did a price reduction. It never happened. Every house had multiple offers. When I say every house, I mean not 100%, but virtually every house had multiple offers. Virtually every house sold for higher than the list price, and that's just what was going on. And then the list prices kept getting higher and higher. One guy sells his house for $500,000, but he created a bidding war, or he listed it for $500,000, created a bidding war, sold it for $550,000. Well, that's the new benchmark. And then the next home, a month later, on the street, lists at $550,000, create a bidding war, get up to $575,000. Well, then that's the new benchmark. The next house starts at $575,000 and goes up from there. So that's how it was all happening back in the COVID days. That is not happening for the most part these days at all. And people, especially sellers for a long time, they got used to those high prices. So they kept setting their homes at that highest price point because a house a year ago sold for that. Well, then when it doesn't move in a week like it did previously, when it takes a month to sell, they start panicking and they start doing price drops. So what does that happen in the buyer's eyes? Buyers see a new listing go on the market and they're like, wow, that's listed for $800,000 and a home hasn't sold for $800,000 in that neighborhood for over a year. Let's just kind of see what happens. And since homes are taking statistically a lot longer to sell, it might take a few weeks, it might take a few months. And then the sellers start doing price reductions and the sellers feel like, hey, they're dropping their price, they're dropping their price, they're dropping their price. They must be desperate. They have all these holding costs. I'm going to come in with a low ball offer and see what happens. So sellers had been really testing the market. They're setting their prices ambitiously to see what happens, to seeing if somebody will still want to bite, but that fear of missing out is not present as much in buyers anymore. And pricing it too high, it comes back and bites the sellers, and they have to do price reductions to entice buyers to come in and start making offers. And here's what I tell all of my clients. I don't care if you're a buyer or a seller about pricing. I don't set the price. The seller doesn't set the price. You know who sets the price of a home? An able and willing buyer. That's what the market is. Purchase that home at a certain price. So ultimately, the buyer sets the price. Now, back in the bidding wars of the COVID days, the seller could just set a benchmark, and then the market, which is an able and willing buyer or multiple buyers, would start throwing out their offers and escalate and escalate and escalate, and ultimately the highest one would win. And that was what the market would bear. The reverse of that is the same way if you set the price too high. Set it too high, you're going to have no showings, no interest, whatever, or you're going to start getting lower offers, which means this is what people are willing to pay for a property that you listed up here. So this is what it's worth. This is the price that the market will bear, not what you listed at, but what a buyer is willing to do to get it. So what are some of the takeaways from this section of it? Is if you're a seller, set your price appropriately. Don't be too greedy. Don't be too ambitious. Really, really look at the numbers with your agent. Make sure that you are pricing your house fairly. If you price it fairly, you're going to get the best bang for your buck and get the most amount of money. If you try to get greedy or too ambitious and you set it too high and you get no action on that house and it sits on the market for a long time and you start doing price reductions, I promise you the offers that you will begin to get are going to be way lower than if you would have priced it appropriately in the first place. Let's look at the flip side of this coin. If you're coming from it as a buyer, from the buyer's perspective, is you and your agent should really do a thorough job of investigating the prices of comparable homes that have sold, not listed. You can list anything. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't matter. Look at sold homes that are comparable to the one that you are looking at in the, a similar area. And that's going to be your benchmark. And that's what is going to dictate appraisals. That's what's going to dictate other buyers' interest, things like that. So if there is a price that is, the house is just, if it's 50 grand more than all the other ones of similar type style, similar condition, similar location, all of that stuff, be really careful on that. Maybe have some patience, let that sit, let that seller see that the market says it is not worth it. Now, if there is a home that is listed at say $800,000 and all the other homes just like it have sold for anywhere from $790,000 to $815,000, maybe you should jump all over it because it sounds like that's probably fairly priced. And if you don't take it, somebody else will. So it's just be educated. Take your time to educate yourself. Have an expert guiding you along the way to really open your eyes and educate you on everything about the market. That's why it's so important to work with a local agent in your area. And again, my team and I would love to be your resource on this and really help you open your eyes with all of these things, just so you know what you're getting into and nothing comes back and bites you. So the last thing I want to touch on, and it's kind of a summary of everything that I've already said, but inventory is up from what it used to be. In the COVID days, we had all-time low inventory inventory. Now inventory is up, but it's still, if you're going to be on the exact pendulum, is leaning still towards a seller market, even though the market isn't quite behaving like that. It's just a weird paradox going on, and it's just something we have to deal with. So inventory is up a little bit. Time on the market is up a lot compared to the COVID days. COVID days was 4 or 5 days. Now it's, a month and a half average time on the market. So since there's more inventory and more time on the market, you as a buyer, you don't feel quite as squeezed. There's more homes to choose from. You don't have to be in as big of a rush. You don't have to be as risky or aggressive with your offers. But if the right home comes along and other people are attracted to it also, it could get snatched up. So it's just have your eyes wide open. Don't let anything fall through the cracks, but do your due diligence. If you're a seller, be realistic. Be realistic that in all likelihood, your house is not going to sell in 3 days. If it does, then you have a gem on your hands, but it likely won't. It'll likely take a little bit longer. Things are not as aggressive as they used to be. Just have patience, trust the process, trust your professional agent. Make sure you're dealing with an agent that is going to guide you correctly, advise you on where you should be at to get the most bang for your buck. So I want to end on this note, and I want to reassure everybody, the market is not broken. We are not falling. We are not crashing. It's not panic mode. It's nothing like that. We are in a transition. It's a little less predictable of how things are going to go, but it's still healthy. I mean, we are selling and buying homes all the time. My team personally, we're on a record-setting pace so far for 2026. Everything is just going along just fine. It's just not the sense of urgency as it was a few years ago. It's just much more almost going back way back when to kind of a traditional market with some weird nuances thrown in there once in a while. So we would really love to be your guide, help you figure some of this stuff out, help show you what's going on, what to expect, what not to expect, and just know there's no crystal ball. If there was a crystal ball, all of us would be very wealthy people. Sometimes you just got to roll with the punches and you get surprised once in a while. So again, right down here, my QR code with the relocation guide to Gig Harbor. Also, I am creating on my website a neighborhood quiz that you can go on to. So go to riversnw.com and there's a neighborhood quiz that you can fill out and just ask some general questions about what you're looking at as far as the market goes, and we can help you reach out to that. All my information again is right here. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. My team and I are always here to be a resource for you, whether it be real estate or just activities to do in the area, school districts, whatever it may be. We want to be that resource for you. And you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.